Okay, welcome back. Going to do a video today again about pricing, and this time I wanted to make this video because I had someone in the comments from another video, not on the channel, because I don't get many comments, but arguing that bolt action is following, or Warlord Games in general is following the pricing structure of Games Workshop, and that they are not as that Games Workshop is still a better value. And then he followed up with something about, well, I'm primarily a painter and modeler, so they're not as value, which I don't understand where he's coming from. I mean, this is a gaming hobby, and these models are purchased mostly for gaming. Modeling is part of the hobby, but I think most of you guys that are subscribed would agree, as much as we love the painting and the modeling, it's fun to get out and play with them, play games, and hang out. So I will say, just as a preliminary in terms of discussing the value between bolt action specifically from Warlord and Games Workshop is, bolt action is a bit of a different game. Not really a skirmish. People call it a skirmish. It's platoon level. And so, in terms of the number of models, you're going to have probably maybe about the same as like in a lower end Warhammer 40k game, so 1,000, maybe 1,500 points, depending on how many. If that 1,500 points is like a lower model count army, like, I don't know, Grey Knights or something like that. So that's a caveat I will say up front. And I will still maintain, as I've discussed in earlier videos, that Warlord Games and bolt action is far better value for your money. Prices are somewhat similar, but you get more for your money. So I'd like to go over that, and we'll take a look at British, because that's the army I play in bolt action, and we can discuss some what you get out of the basic infantry box, which is the thing I sort of harp on a lot in comments, is you can play a game of, you can get a bolt action army started with a single box of infantry. So, and this is, I've bought this box set before, really nice, and people like to complain about the quality of Warlord models. I like them, they're fine. There's really nothing wrong with them. You can paint them really nicely, and at the end of the day, and this is something I've noticed in historical gaming, is people aren't necessarily as like obsessed with like this crisp, perfect like figure quality like they are in Warhammer, and I mean, I can see it both ways, but at the end of the day, and I've noticed this when I've played in a bolt action tournament, for example, you're really not going to be looking up close at your models all day. I mean, you're mostly going to be seeing them at 3 feet, and those little tiny details that are on Games Workshop stuff. I mean, it's nice in pictures. It's nice, looking at them up close, but it's just not, you're not going to be seeing that all the time. And I think that's maybe what, when you have someone that's new to this hobby, the hobby of wargaming in general, and they say, oh, don't buy those are bad quality. It's really like small stuff like this, and you can paint these up very well, and the sculpts are just fine. So anyway, with that out of the way, get to the main meat of the video. So you get 25 in this box, and they're 28 mil, obviously, and you can make an entire, basically, starter platoon with this. So in terms of like a list I would build out of this for a late war, since Market Garden is like the most interesting campaign to me. So if I wanted to represent some British regulars deployed in Market Garden, you can, with this box, make 2 10-man squads if you wanted to. But in bolt action, you don't necessarily have to take full strength squads, and sometimes it can be more thematic to have like some understrength units, 7, 8 guys. Anyway, but that's sort of an option. And then but let's just say you take two 10-man squads, and that leaves you with 5 models left. So you can then make one of those your platoon officer, and this box should have parts to do that, I believe. But I mean, if not, give a guy with a helmet a pistol. And I mean, if you really wanted to, you could say he's wearing like a sterile enlisted man's uniform, which happened in World War II on all sides. I mean, for security reasons. And then you have 4 models left. So with that, and I don't think it shows it on these pictures, you can make 2 special weapons. So you can make I believe you can make a mortar team with this, but I know the Piat is in this. Let's see, weapons included. Bren gun. Okay, I thought you could make some. I thought you could make some weapon teams with this, but I may have been wrong about that. At any rate, so you can make. Oh, there's the Piat. Yep. So you can make a Piat. So you can make a Piat team, and let's see if there's any. Does it show the other weapon sprue? Okay, I'm not going to keep harping on this, but you get the point. I mean, you can make two 10-man squads, officer, and a weapon, and two Piat teams, let's just say. So, and that's enough to get started. And then in terms of the game rules, that gives you two order dice for each infantry squad, 1 order dice for your officer, and 2 order dice for your weapon teams, whatever you make with those. And that's all for $44, and you can play the game. Not a huge game, but if you just you're just getting started, I mean, I think that's great value for $44. And what do you get with? Okay, and I think let's just go Space Marines since they're the most popular, and versus the basic. Okay, Primaris. I guess crap. I'm just looking for tactical Marines. Here we go, the old tactical squad. So this is not a playable force. $50. You get 10 models, and you can't use this unless you're doing a kill team or something like that. But for core Warhammer 40,000, this is not a playable force. You can't. And again, that's that's 2 slightly different sets of rules. But I think the point still stands that in terms of if you are gaming on a budget and you want to play a 28 millimeter, company level, let's say, game or large platoon, multi-platoon level game, this isn't enough to get started, and you can get a single basic box and get going. And now let's see if the Germans are more expensive. I don't think they would be, but it doesn't hurt to check. Let's take a look here at let's just infantry squads and teams. Here's the big box sets, but we want just some basic, like the basic units. Forces German Army. Let's just go regular Wehrmacht. Okay, we'll just take a look at the German. Okay, $48. And that's you get 5. You get more figures than in the British box. So $4 you get more, and just so we're sort of comparing something that's similar. Here we go. That's the starter army. Here we go, the German Grenadiers. So again, this is 30 models. And here you can see it shows what you can build with it. So, for the Germans in bolt action, you don't need as many teams, special weapon teams that are run in pairs because they have the anti-tank guns or anti-tank stuff. But it shows you can make, here's your officer, and then 2 guys with him, and then 3 squads, and then you don't. But I will say this one squad is all Sturmgewehrs. Don't do that. That's very ahistorical. Anyway, side note. But yeah, so that's our basic infantry box. Now let's take a look at some of the larger sets for bolt action. So we'll go back to Great Britain, since that's my favorite and what I play. Like I said, let's British. Here, we'll go with the British Airborne Starter Army. It's the one I got for Christmas last year, and so you get for $80. This is a incredible bargain, I think, and it's a full army. So you get all of these infantry squads. You get a few, and these are metal, so you get a few, and then you get your support section and an AT gun. And you can make an officer, like I said, because these are just generic infantry sprues, and they have the parts to make an officer, which is what I did. I made a special airborne officer for my airborne guys. And in terms of quality, you can judge it for yourselves. I think they look good. I can't really complain too much about the sculpts. And that's what you get with each sprue. And you can, you get pose options. You can do different things with them. This isn't monopose like GW, and it gives you a sample list. So that's really helpful. So that's $80. And this is like what I did in another video looking at the old Games Workshop battle forces. This is like something Games Workshop used to do. In fact, I would say this is even better value than that. And then let's look at I should say for the figure count, 40 infantry. You get 3 basically heavy weapons, support weapon teams, and then the crew models that go with them. So you get, that's a pretty good deal in my opinion, and you guys can come to your own conclusions. Now let's look at getting started. Start here. Okay, the Recruit Edition of Warhammer 40,000, that's $50. Pretty decent bargain by 40k standards, but this is what you get. And so you get some Necron Warriors and the Scarabs, I think that's what those are. I don't know anything about Necron, sorry. And it looks like you get some Primaris, like Assault Marines. And again, like neither of these are playable, unless you're doing like a kill team scenario. And they are probably monopose. And then let's look at the start collecting. So $95, and let's look at the classic. Oh, these are the Vanguards. I was just looking for the regular Tactical Marines. Okay, Combat Patrol Space Wolves, because they advertise this as a complete force. Okay, so for $140, this is a 25 power level, which is their silly new way instead of doing points. So you get, so this is a Combat Patrol for $140, and you get a HQ, this, whatever that thing is, uh, 10 intercessors, and 5 reavers, and 2 of the Space Wolf upgrades. And I mean, I think in terms of GW standards, this is a pretty good value, and you certainly probably save some money, but it's still $140, and you're dealing with monopose figures, basically, with very little customization, and it's a small army. It's just a starter army, but like at the low end of 40K. But this lets you play a decent sized game of bolt action. And to be fair, I mean, it's 2 different sort of games with 2 different, sort of appeals. But I mean, I think if you're someone that's getting into the hobby of wargaming in general, not just Games Workshop, to me, this would be a much better deal. I can, if I make, if I have very little money to spend on this hobby, I can spend $80, and conceivably, if somebody just wanted to build one bolt action army and just play with that, they could do it with this. Would it be the most, power gaming, cheesy army? No, but if you were just playing casual games with your friends, scenario themed games, like, I think most people do, this is more than enough. And in terms of tournament play, bolt action is just much better balanced because there's not every infantry and weapon is basically has the same profile. So, you're not really dealing with like Warhammer of having to chase the hot new meta. You're pretty much, everybody's pretty much well balanced, and it more comes down to, the mix of units you take or how you use them. So there's that aspect as well. And then, so I will say, in Games Workshop's favor, this is a pretty good value, and for them, and you get a decent set of models. But then, if we go to the start collecting, some of these I don't think are even fully playable, but they might be. Let's see, this comes with, so you don't get your 2 troops, and you get a couple of these extras. You do get a codex, which that's nice. But again, I mean, this is like not really a fully legal force unless you're doing like just an open play, casual, very casual game. These are a bit better sculpted than the bolt action, but again, they're monopose. You can't really do much with them. You can do some arm swaps, you can do some head swaps, but nothing like the old GW models. So, and then if someone was interested in another, let's see, we'll take a look at the Axis just to see what their starter army comes with, and I would say it. Let's take a look at Waffen SS. So this is this is pricier than the British Airborne, $145. So close to the Space Wolves Combat Patrol. But what do you get? Okay, you get 2 tanks, 33 infantry, support weapons, and let's see, how many points does this get you? Because I think this is probably a good-sized army. Let's take a look. Yeah, so this is a full 1,500 point army. And if you bought this in terms of if you wanted to play competitively or just, against friends again, you would be more than set with both of these tanks. And the infantry, Waffen SS infantry, are pretty good because they're all veterans and they have Relentless. And you would have to buy the book, the Armies of Germany book. But then again, I mean, you could just go on Battlescribe and get those rules because there's not that many for bolt action in terms of nation-specific rules, and you would be good to go. But that's a little pricier, so we'll fill out a card actually if you just wanted to break into bolt action and you just were starting from the ground up. Let's go back to Great Britain, and you wanted to, or we can do Americans. Take a look at Americans. So we're going to need an army book. So that's $30, and you can find PDFs of these. I prefer print books myself, but let's say you wanted to have the print book, and again, now you could probably just build a starter force with this. So if we're saving the most money possible just to break into the game, $48 for that. A little pricier, but again, we're getting 30 models, and we can make quite a bit with this if it's like the other kits, which I'm sure it is. So we've got that, and then got our army book, and then we need the bolt action rule book. Bolt Action 2, that's the German edition. Okay, but we'll just, for the sake of argument, here we go. Bolt Action 2nd edition rulebook, $40, and you get a free patent. And so let's take a look at our cart and see how much this costs you. So for $118 plus some shipping, and again, this is if you buy from Warlord, not a local game store, you can get started, and at just the bare minimum. And then take a look at, if we got the US starter army, how much that would cost. Oh, and there's this 2-player starter set, Marine Army, Band of Brothers. Let's see if they have it. U.S. Infantry, U.S. Starter Army expansion set. Here we go. U.S. Starter Army, so $144. It's a little pricier, and you get 36 infantry squads, or 36 infantry. You get a half-track, 105mm artillery, MG team, mortar team, and 1 Sherman. So we'll add that to the cart. So if we want to, if we have a little bit more of a budget and we want to play Americans in bolt action, this is what our cart looks like. $200. Again, more money because we're spending more on the army, but we're all set. And then you just need dice. You can buy those at the store, and you can get the bolt action order dice, but you don't have to. And I think there's an app out actually now that allows you to do that. Or you can just use other dice you have laying around, 2 different colors, or just chips. As long as you have something, that's all that really matters. And you can do that pretty cheaply with bolt action. Now, and we have a, let's see. It doesn't say how many points this is, but I would be willing to bet it's probably around 1,500, like that German army we looked at, that SS army. Now, if we want to get into Warhammer 40,000, we'll just, for the sake of argument, say we want to play Space Wolves. Okay, we'll add that to the cart, and that's 25 power level, which is probably around 500 points. But we want to play a decent-sized army game, so let's just look at Space Wolves. So we're already up to $140. Okay, we got an HQ in there. Okay, we're going to need the Codex supplement. Dice we don't need. And we're probably going to want another Primaris squad, because if we're starting Warhammer 40,000, you're probably playing Primaris now. Let's see what else we're... Reavers, turning, okay, and cursors. We'll just go with them for the sake of argument. And intercessors, okay, they're out of stock, but same price. We'll just say those Reavers were our intercessors. And they have the old school Space Wolves, which are a little cheaper, $48, but behind in the meta, because they're just tactical marines from what that looks like. And we also want our, let's see, we also need, oh, Space Wolves Blood Claws. It's actually a good value for $50. Anyway, and I think we also need our Space Wolves upgrade kit. Let's see, Space Wolves upgrade kit. Okay, so we're going to need Space Wolves Primaris upgrades. So let's see, how many does this let you upgrade? So 5 shoulder pads, 1 sergeant shoulder pad, and 3 aggressor shoulder pads. Okay, we're probably going to need 2 of these, just so we have enough. And then we need Codex Space Marines. So we'll have to add that to the cart. And then we need a Warhammer 40,000 core rule book. So we have this, and you can see that's the price in American US dollars. Now, you know, you wouldn't necessarily have to buy the Codex or the core rule book, because you can go on Battlescribe or go on wahapedia.ru. Same with the Codex. So you can get rid of some of these rules, but I'm approaching this from someone totally new to any kind of war game, and they're just buying, you know, what they think they need to start this army, and play a decent-sized game. So this is your entry cost. And again, these models are monopose. You can't really do much customization with them unless you use, you know, like this, the upgrade pack. Is that good value? And even with this, because you're going to want to scale up an army in Warhammer 40k, you're going to need to buy more units. So this is just like breaking in, basically, is all this. And again, you can remove this stuff. You can, you know, maybe don't necessarily need all the rules, but this is just breaking in. Whereas with this, if you wanted to, if you're just playing games with your friends, and let's just take a look at this card again up close, you could buy this stuff, this whole army, and heck, I mean, if you're doing Americans, you could use Patton as your officer. Not as Patton necessarily, but just as a, you know, colonel or something. You know, you could buy this, and you wouldn't need to make other purchases for a while unless you really wanted to. You'd be good to go and probably play fine against pretty much, you know, any army. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think, because this is my opinion, this is my video, you know, bolt action is still above and beyond the value for your money in terms of a war game than Warhammer 40,000. And that's not even getting into, we didn't even look at Black Powder or Pike and Shot compared to some Warhammer 40,000 stuff. Which again, I didn't go with these because they're pretty different in terms of, you know, what you need and the type of game, since they're pike, musket, and saber type games. So might not be a fair comparison, but anyway, you know, that's the comparison. You know, and Warlord actually does free shipping and sales, so you can save money that way too. In fact, we can just take, as we're wrapping up here, we can just take a look real quick. Let's see. Well, let's just see what they have on sale. Okay, not Okay, not that much. So, okay, not as much as I thought is on sale, unfortunately. Okay, well, here we go. Black Friday deal, Black Powder Starter deal. So if you're interested um, in that, you get, okay, you get the whole Waterloo starter set. You get a couple extra British infantry boxes, some British cavalry, French line infantry, and it says a French cannon. So, and then you'd have to get the rules, but again, I mean, you could probably find those online in a PDF format, but then the rule book, I believe, is like $40 or $50. So, you know, around the same as we're paying for bolt action. So I'll wrap up the video there. I hope I think I laid my case out pretty well, and you know, again, we're approaching this from someone that has never played any kind of war game, wants to break in, isn't really sure what system to try, and we're just going with, you know, what they would do potentially, just trying to get, you know, everything they can to get into it, and you know, you can decide for yourself. And for some people, money isn't an issue. Good for them, but you know, it doesn't change the fact that the Games Workshop products are price gouged. I mean, they practice price gouging, and we need to recognize that. People need to recognize that, and that the fact that they're the best models, which isn't even true anymore. That is, you know, it's really just not enough of an answer for me personally, and you know, I don't know if other people feel the same way or what. But anyway, that's the video for today. Hope you liked it, and you know, maybe this is informative. You know, if you'd like to see more of this kind of stuff, let me know. I mostly do this just to vent about frustrations I have with mostly the Warhammer 40,000 community, and then just the misinformation that's out there about other war games and other systems where they say, oh no, it's just as expensive, when what I've hoped this video has shown is that no, other war games are not as expensive, and you know, don't believe that if you want to get into this hobby and you happen to see this and you know, you think like this is just a ridiculous, you know, price hobby, and you know, it's impossible to break in, when you know, $214 is a decent amount of money. I mean, that's a third of rent that, you know, for example, that I was paying in college. So that isn't a lot, but I mean, in terms of someone's making, you know, decent income to invest in this hobby, and you can space all these purchases out too. So, you know, I think this is a pretty low, all things considered, Barrett cost of entry to play a war game, compared to this. And again, this isn't like a complete army we're looking at for Warhammer 40,000. This is just breaking into the game. So anyway, keep extending this. Wrap that up for now. Hope you enjoyed it. And I will talk to you in the next video.